Hello guys, today I'm going to give you a little refresher on factoring, which is something you guys did in Algebra 1, and you guys will be doing more in Algebra 2 as well. This is just going to be a quick refresher. So if we look at these two, these are called trinomials because they have three different terms. Okay, they're also called quadratics because they have an exponent of 2. So up here on the top, this is a standard form of a quadratic, ax squared plus bx plus c, where those are all, a, b, and c are all numbers. They're all coefficients to our variables here. Okay, and this one, since x squared is by itself, that's going to be a 1. B would be negative 10, and c is negative 24. So it has to be set up in this situation. Now, in order to factor, our goal is to try to get two parentheses as our answer, something like x plus something, x minus something, in order so that if we FOIL it back out, then we would come back to our answer. So whenever we do this, it's called AC factoring. If you guys remember back in your CPM, okay, your diamond problems, this is going to come back. So on the top here, I'm going to multiply the a value times the c value. So 1 times negative 24 is just negative 24. Okay, and then this b value here is going to come down to the bottom. So it'd be a negative 10x would come down there. And so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find two numbers that multiply to the top and add to the bottom. So I'm trying to find the factors of 24. If you need to, you can list them out. So like numbers that multiply to 24 would be 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, and 4 and 6. Okay, so one common thing is I need to make sure I get my signs. So if I'm multiplying to a negative number, I'm going to have one that's going to be positive and one that's going to be negative. Because a negative times a positive is going to give me that negative number on the top. Okay, so if I have one positive and one negative number, that would give me my combo. I'd have to figure out which combo down here would be able to add to a negative 10. There are many different ways of doing this. Okay, I like to look back. If it's a negative number, that means my bigger number is going to have to be a negative. So by adding them, let's see which ones would give me a 10. Okay, so I could give 12 and 2 could give me a 10, but also 4 and 6 could give me a 10. But if they're different signs, okay, I'd have to choose the one that would, if I subtract them, would give me a 10. So with this case, it's going to be 12 and 2. Okay, since I'm going to a negative 10, it's going to be a negative 12 plus 2. Negative 12 plus 2 gives me a negative 10. If I had these flip-flopped, it would be 12 minus 2, which would give me a positive 10. Then I'm going to go to my generic rectangle. Okay, this first one up here, so x squared and negative 24 just come down into the box. X squared, negative 24. And then I need to bring my new two numbers in here as well. My plus 2x, and minus 12x. Okay, because when I add those two together, it gives me negative 10x. So I'd have a negative 12x plus 2x. Okay, now between here, it does not matter which place you put the negative 12 and the 2x, it still should work out. So then you're just bringing out your common factor. So between an x squared and a negative 12x, I can bring out an x. I can divide both of these by a 2. Vertically here, I can bring out an x. And if you see a negative, so whether it's here or here, you would have to bring out a negative from there. Okay, so this would be a negative. I can divide both of those by a 12. Okay, then you could quickly go back and multiply those out. X times x is x squared. You can multiply that. So then these two would be my final answers. X plus 2 and x minus 12. Okay. Then if you notice, these are actually the two numbers that we get from our sides up here too. X plus 2, x minus 12. That only happens when your first number is a 1 out here, but that should happen every time. Okay. So this whole method here, you do not have to do. All right. But that will come back. That's just showing how it can work that way. We can just use these two numbers on the sides. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing for the one on the right. Okay, when I multiply, they're going to look very similar. Okay, 1 times 24, now I'm going to have a positive 24 up here and a negative 10 down here. All right, then since I'm multiplying to a positive number, I'm going to have two that are going to be the same because it'll be a positive and a positive, or a negative times a negative, depending on what it is. Okay, since I have to add to a negative number, okay, that tells me both of these are going to have to be negative. And then I can figure out my 2. Now, 12 or 2 and 12 isn't going to give me my negative 10, but now negative 4 minus 6 could give me that. Okay, it's important that we know the difference between the left one and the right one. All right, if I were to use 4 and 6 over on number 1, 4 minus 6 would not give me a negative 10. 6 minus 4 would not. Okay, so these signs are pretty important. Okay, now I can just go down through and get my, I can take the shortcut. Okay, if you want to, if you are more comfortable doing it this way, you can do it that way. If you want to take these numbers and throw them into some parentheses, you can also do that. X minus 4, x minus 6 would be your factored form. All right. So, and that's it.